So this is the third Moon Knight Omnibus I read, and it will be the third that I'm going to review. So that's pretty exciting. I think there's only 3 out right now, I'm pretty sure. But we have a 4th one coming. Now, the 4th one takes place after the first 2 that I reviewed, but before this. This was the 2000s. And as we get into this, I do want to encourage people to know that you really need to check out Volume 1 of Moon Knight. I like Volume 2, and if you haven't seen my review, a quick recap. Volume 1 was one of my best surprises ever reading it. I'm not a big fan of, like, 70s comics. I feel like the dialogue is so outdated, I can't get into it. However, really, really well done in Moon Knight Volume 1 Omnibus, so go pick that up. And Volume 2 was a good follow-up, just not as good. But let's talk about this one. Are we going to check out the newest one that just came out just a few months ago? It's by Huston, Benson, and Hurwitz, and let's talk about what's in it first. So we have Moon Knight 2006, which is issues 1 to 30, and that is basically split between Benson and Huston. Huston kind of starts it off, Benson finishes it, and it's issues 1 to 30, which really contain basically 5 trade paperback volumes. It also has the Moon Knight Annual 2007, and also the Moon Knight Silent Night. That's right, a Christmas special. Who doesn't love that? After we finish those, we also have Vengeance of the Moon Knight, which was in 2009, and that's issues 1 to 10, and that is all written by Hurwitz. And then we have Shadowland Moon Knight 2010, issues 1 to 3, and that is also written by Hurwitz, and my gosh, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So like I said, the first 2 volumes that I read of Moon Knight cover up to the Fist of Khonshu, and while bumpy at times, it was really pretty fun, save for the Fist of Khonshu mini. I didn't like that much. That was mostly the 70s, early 80s, and this run, we're skipping ahead to the 2000s, and we have 3 writers, Huston, Benson, and Hurwitz. But do these 3 writers bring their A game? Well, Moon Knight starts off right in the beginning as kind of a broken man, crippled, anxiety-ridden, not worthy of the name Moon Knight, and Mark sits all day in ruins. He's lost everything, including his friends and loved ones. The omnibus starts with Huston as the main writer, and it's depressing and it's edgy, and Moon Knight finally gets his mojo back to fight the injustices of the world. Old sidekicks return, lovers reunite, and lots of angst in the first couple of volumes with this one. Once Benson takes over, we go for more of a wild ride, this time having Moon Knight being attacked by both Iron Man and Osborn. This is during the events of after Civil War, so basically right before Siege, meaning we have plenty of people after Moon Knight who's always on the very edge of being kind of a hero or a killer. Iron Man wanting to bring him in and understand how he passed the Registration Act, while Osborn just wants to get rid of him and sends the Thunderbolts to catch him. And then the last 3 arcs are Hurwitz, who brings Moon Knight back as Jack Lockley, and you know, that more I don't give a fuck personality, basically taking on Osborn and the world head on. It's Moon Knight at his most superhero-ish, bringing back his team from the old comics, and having more of like a futuristic Batman-style suit, and vowing not to murder anyone ever again. But the biggest question is, we have 3 different writers, one major storyline that starts basically in 2006 and ends in 2010, and does it work? That's what you're wondering. Well, no. What I mean by that is it doesn't all work. It isn't to say that I didn't have a good time reading this. I think the first arc is solid intro, though a lot of the times you might feel lost. Sometimes the dialogue, kind of way Huston writes, kind of just like skip scenes, almost like a Grant Morrison effect, except I don't think he's doing it on purpose, and it's just hard to convey what the characters are trying to talk to the other characters at times. However, once you read it a couple of times, it's easier to understand, and I did think the return of an insane sidekick who's after Moon Knight is a fun storyline. I also really enjoyed Benson's last 2 arcs, from Bullseye and the Thunderbolts chasing Moon Knight to Iron Man hunting him. I thought all of that was really great stuff. Even better is when Moon Knight heads to Mexico and we meet 2 brothers who are basically hitman who can't stop saying bro to each other, which sounds silly, but it's also really comedic and it works for the storyline, and it just brings enough of that zany, fun Moon Knight stuff that I love. I think the major problem with omnibuses is when the ending is as strong as the rest, and that happens here. So I think the omnibus sadly ends kind of dour. I like Moon Knight being a badass superhero, and actually the art for the first Hurwitz run is great. And there's some funny moments even with like Moon Knight's internal thoughts during the Secret Avengers mission. Saying that, though, the stories really don't seem to go anywhere. They're bringing back old baddies that end up just being an okay storyline. The team-up issues were decent, except for Spider-Man. That one was bad. And overall, the ending, the last 3 issues, is Shadowland, which is top 5 worst events ever and nearly ruined Daredevil. So that's not the way to end an omnibus, if I'm being honest. So yeah, there's ups and downs with this one. There's some really fun arcs, some solid ones, some really piss poor ones like Shadowland's 3-parter, and Spider-Man's team up really soured my enjoyment at the end. Saying that, I will remember the fun moments of this, even if it is the weakest omnibus for Moon Knight for me. I still had fun reading it. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. If you're more into the edgy, brutal comics, I think this run might work even better than volumes 1 and 2. But for me, I think that it just didn't have the balance I was hoping for, and that could be because it's 3 different writers, so that does happen. Saying that, pretty enjoyable. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5.